Hi, I'm Jennifer Poindexter. I'm the Director of the Promotion and Education Programs at Missouri Farm Bureau. Today we're bringing you From the Farm, a field trip experience. We want to highlight Missouri agriculture and how diverse it is, and the farmers and ranchers that serve us every day. These videos are perfect for 4th through 6th graders, but could be used in any classroom, virtual or in person. We hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, I'm Jennifer Poindexter, Director of Promotion and Education Programs at Missouri Farm Bureau. Today we're joined with Matt Moreland from Red Barn Ranch in his pumpkin patch. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
So can you tell us a little bit about the pumpkin patch that we're standing in and a little bit just about the pumpkins behind us?
Of course. Yeah, so we at Red Barn Ranch, we have about an 1.5 acre pumpkin patch here, but we grow about 10 acres worth of pumpkins kind of scattered out throughout the country and bring them in to our pumpkin patch. All in all, we have about 40 different varieties of pumpkins we grow. The bulk of them being the orange, typical jack-o'-lantern type pumpkin, but we also grow a lot of specialties and colored varieties and speckled varieties and different sizes and shapes and all of that.
So what size of little patch do we have right here?
So this is kind of a new addition on our home patch. So this puts us at just under 2 acres in this current patch. And what's growing behind us right here are our jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. And this is a new variety for us. These pumpkins grow extremely fast. So they make a nice big 30 to 40 pound jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, what people like to see and carve, but they get there in about 90 days. So.
Pretty fast.
Pretty fast.
So, you said 30 to 40 pounds. What is the biggest pumpkin that you've grown?
That's a great question. This has historically been where I have grown my giant pumpkins. And we grow a couple different varieties of giant pumpkins that have the capability of getting over 1,000 pounds. Wow. So Dill's Atlantic Giant is a name that kind of sticks out in my mind. That's what typically has the at least the Missouri pumpkin record. I think last year it was the record was just under 2,000 pounds. We grow the same variety. Our pumpkins have never gotten quite that big, but I have grown a 300-pound pumpkin before, so yeah, not too shabby.
That's pretty big for a pumpkin. So we can kind of see the pumpkins are here on the plant and they're ready to pick, but what kind of soil does it take to grow a great pumpkin?
So pumpkins, they are mostly water. I think 90% water. So they have to have a good access to water. So the looser soils that you have, the more sandy soils that have abundant water down deep is what you're going after. So kind of a sandy loam is what we call it. But there are a lot of things you can do to overcome not having the correct kind of soil. And one of the things that we do here at Red Barn Ranch that I think helps us to really grow great pumpkins is we no-till pumpkins. And if you don't know what that means, just break down the word a little bit. It means we don't till or turn the soil. So we actually plant grass just like what we're standing in right now. It looks just like what you'd find in your yards at home. We plant grass early in the spring or even late in the fall, and we try to establish that grass to make it look like a sod farm or like a healthy yard. And then we plant our pumpkins at the end of June, and we plant right through that grass. And what happens after we plant through the grass is then we'll use a chemical program to come in and kill the grass. And as those roots decompose, the decomposing roots help to break up the soil and make a looser soil. So even if we don't have the perfect soil here, by doing our no-till method, we can kind of overcome some of that.
So chemicals aren't a bad thing. Chemicals are a great thing for farmers to use in the correct dosage.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. A lot of people kind of have a bad taste about chemicals. They think that chemicals are this horrible thing when in reality, that's what helps us to do our job. I couldn't grow pumpkins the way that I grow pumpkins. I couldn't have this many pumpkins this close together of this size without using the programs that we use, the no-till programs and the chemical burn down programs.
It's great. So you said you grow different varieties of pumpkins. Can you kind of explain what those varieties look like and what they are?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of folks think that a pumpkin is a pumpkin is a pumpkin. There's orange pumpkins, and they either are picked when they're small and they're little orange pumpkins, or they just let them go until they get to be huge.
Right.
When actually, the pumpkin is kind of predetermined. You pick the seed based on what you want the pumpkin to be like. So there are thousands and thousands of kinds of pumpkins. So as I said before, we grow 40 different kinds. We grow some that are supposed to be 40-pound pumpkins, and we grow some that are supposed to be baseball-sized pumpkins. Yeah. We also grow a lot of really cool pumpkins, some specialties we'll talk about here in a minute. Some of my favorite pumpkins are ones like this guy here. That's not an accident. That one's supposed to be that way. We would call these a knucklehead, but they actually kind of look like they have warts or bumps on them. But that's what they're supposed to look like. We have an entire field of pumpkins just like that we grow. So, and then we have some other cool pumpkins like this guy here. We've had a lot of folks come out this year that thought that maybe this guy just wasn't ready yet. It's actually it's ripe, mature, and ready to take home, and it's supposed to be that color, and that yellow color. It's aptly named Mellow Yellow. So kind of a cool pumpkin.
Fun pumpkin.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have other pumpkins that, of course, are white. We grow at Red Barn Ranch. We grow 3 varieties of white pumpkins, all the way up to our 30-pound, what would be a jack-o'-lantern sized pumpkin, to a mid-sized pumpkin like this guy's, to I think he's called a Casper, and then we grow all the way down to what they call a Casperita, which is smaller, baseball size, yeah. And then kind of a new one for us is this guy here. You notice the pink color. It's the only pumpkin that grows pink all the time. It's called a porcelain doll. And you can get a lot of pumpkins that can accidentally become pink or are pink through various stages of their life cycle. But this guy, upon maturity, is supposed to be pink. So it's a new pumpkin. They just came out with it a couple of years ago. Really cool pumpkin. Of course, it's in the same variety. You'll notice a lot of similarities from the last pumpkin, the porcelain doll, to this guy here. And this is a fairy tale pumpkin, and this kind of a pretty color of green is what it's supposed to be. And then this one here, I actually don't have a name for this one. I wanted to pick it to show you guys because it brings up another important point. It's the same shape. It's a little bit smaller, but the same shape as the fairy tale and the porcelain doll that we showed you a minute ago. But its yellow color looks a lot like that Mellow Yellow pumpkin. And we don't have a name for this pumpkin because it wasn't intentionally grown from a seed to be this color. It was cross-pollinated.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So pollination is when a bee lands on the different flowers on our pumpkins, and that spreads the pollen. Bees are really good at that. Butterflies, even hummingbirds and other insects will actually pollinate. So when I said earlier that we grow around 40 varieties of pumpkins, that's intentionally. We plan on 40 different varieties of pumpkins, but what actually happens a lot is we get these cross-pollinated pumpkins that we didn't plan to grow and are kind of an accident of Mother Nature, and we get ones like we just held up a minute ago that look like a fairy tale pumpkin, but it's yellow in color.
So when you talk about pollination, and you said honeybees and butterflies and hummingbirds, how critical is that for farmers to have those pollinators around?
For a vegetable growing and fruit growing standpoint, like what we do here at Red Barn Ranch, it's crucial. We wouldn't have a single pumpkin if it weren't for pollinators. So we try very hard to take care of our pollinators. In fact, at Red Barn Ranch, we have three beehives just here on this farm because no bees, no pollinators, no pumpkins. So we have to have that, and so it's of utmost importance to us to take care of our bees and give them a suitable environment for them to thrive.
Great. So what kind of pumpkin makes the best, like pumpkin pie?
You get that question a lot. What kind of pumpkin makes the best pumpkin pie? It depends on who you ask. But recently I've learned that you can make pumpkin pie out of just about anything. But we've got some grandmas that come out here to the pumpkin patch that promise that gourds actually make the best pumpkin pie. But really what it boils down to for pumpkin pie, what you want is, first of all, it has to fit in your oven. Our pumpkins back here are great. But if they don't fit in your oven, then it doesn't do you a whole lot of good. You can't bake something that won't physically fit in your oven. And then, so size, and then also sugar content. The more sugar, the better. Everybody likes sugar.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, we grow a couple varieties of pumpkin, or pie pumpkins that are high in sugar content and smaller in shape that would fit in your refrigerator or in your oven.
So interesting. So we know that every plant has different parts of the plant: the roots, the stems, the flowers, the seeds. And a lot of people don't know that pumpkins actually have flowers. Can you kind of talk a little bit about the flowers of these plants?
Yes, I can. I actually have an example here. Pumpkins do have flowers. They actually have two types of flowers. One is the pollinator flower, and the other is the female flower, or the flower that will turn into the pumpkin once it's pollinated. So what we have here is a pollinator flower. So this is what the bug will have to land, or the insect will have to land on the inside of the flower, called the stamina, and then go and then pollinate the female flower that will eventually turn into the pumpkin. So one of the things that makes our job a little bit challenging here is butterflies and bees aren't the only things that like our flowers. We get a lot of pests, a lot of bad bugs that also like our flowers. So we need to get rid of the pests that will eat the flower. If the flower gets eaten, then there will be no pumpkin. So we have to get rid of the pests without hurting the bees. And so what we do here on our farm is fortunately the flowers close up at night. They say good night a little after lunch and close up for the night. And so we don't spray until the evening. We do use a chemical, an insecticide, to kill the bugs, the unwanted bugs. But we don't actually spray until after dark. We put a flashlight on and we come out and we spray all the bugs after dark. That way any pesticide would go on the outside of the flower, and the bees are very articulate. When they come in, they land only on the inside and not on the outside. So the pests get the insecticide on the outside and go away, and the bees are safe.
So what you're doing is you're only killing the bad ones. The bees are great.
That's right. That's awesome. Exactly what we're doing. We've like I said before, it's extremely important for us to save the bees. So
yep.
have them a suitable habitat for their protection and for our success.
Yeah. So one of the great things about Red Barn Ranch is that you guys have a lot of different activities for kids to come out and do. One of them being what's behind us. And this looks like a dump truck, but can you explain what it is?
I can, yes. At Red Barn Ranch, almost all of our activities are made out of recycled agriculture, and even a little more personal and close to home, they're made out of my family's own recycled agriculture. So the dump truck behind us is actually a grain truck. It was never intended or built to haul gravel or rocks or anything. It was, however, intended to haul corn and soybeans. So this truck would have been built in the 60s. It was the first truck my grandpa purchased on the farm. It allowed us to haul about 300 bushel to town. If we were on the highway, we could go 50 miles an hour, which was a huge improvement from hauling 50 to 100 bushel to town with a tractor and a wagon going 10 miles an hour. So it served a purpose, a very good purpose, but this technology has been replaced by diesel-powered semi-trucks and trailers that haul 1,000 bushel of grain and go 70 miles an hour down the interstate. So no longer in need, but still something pretty cool. We brought it home to Red Barn Ranch, and we built it into we call it our truck slide. It's 40 foot long, 15 foot tall, and doubles as a lookout tower over the corn maze that you can see in the background.
Can we go up it?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go. Red Barn Ranch is considered agritourism, and a great thing about agritourism is that it's educational and it's fun. And so one cool thing here is that you guys have some unique antique tractors that kind of shows it. Can you just kind of walk us through your antique tractors?
First of all, who doesn't like tractors, right? I mean, everybody likes tractors. So I thought it was important to allow our students and our visitors to be able to get up on the tractors and kind of, you know, grab a hold of the steering wheel, pretend like they're driving it. But also important for us to showcase agriculture from its roots, from where we got started. Agriculture's come a long ways, and tractors look a lot different today than they did. But this is where we started, and so this in the Red Barn Ranch Tractor Barn, we've got 6 different tractors on display here that are from the 20s to the 50s, as well as we took it a step further, and on the walls behind us you'll see some of the tools that a farmer would have used back in the day. So this is kind of a forgotten era. Power tools and electricity and hydraulics have replaced a lot of these things, and we forgot that our grandfathers and great-grandfathers and great-great-grandfathers had to do everything the hard way by hand. Had to ride on a tractor without a cab and without an air conditioner and a satellite radio and all of that, and set out in the elements, and then if it broke down they actually turned a wrench to fix it. But we showcase some of that stuff here, and we talk about where we came from, and then can show kind of where we are now.
Quite possibly my favorite part of Red Barn Ranch is the animal area, and you have in your hands an adorable baby goat. Can you talk about the goats, the alpaca, and the animal area?
Yeah, yes I can. So this little guy is born, he's not quite 2 weeks old. He was our first baby born in our new animal exhibit, which you can see behind us. Goats like to climb inherently, so we built them something to climb on. So you see our goat staircase. They've got a nice area inside the barn, and then they can come through and go up a staircase that actually goes up 22 feet. And we offer a feed up there that they like quite a bit, a sweet feed, so they get to kind of go up and check that out. So you'll see some of the babies on the staircase right now, and one of our moms up there too. So, and then down here you might see behind us here we've got one of our alpacas that's kind of over here hanging out, and then some more of our mama goats inside the barn.
How many goats do you have in total now with the babies?
All in all, we are up to 11 right now. Seems like it changes all the time. So a lot of times we have a variety of animals, from goats to alpacas. We have horse, calves, pigs, something different kind of all the time.
So fun. And people can feed these, right, when they come and visit?
Yes. We encourage our visitors to kind of get in touch, get comfortable, and then get to know our animals. So we offer feed, and you can get right up. They're all really friendly. They like attention. They like to be pets. So you're welcome to come down and get familiar with a goat.
Does this little guy have a name yet?
Not yet. We've got a lot of suggestions. We've got to narrow it down. So we're going to pick a name this weekend for him, an official name. But I think he's got about 30 that have been thrown at us. We've got a lot of people that want to be the one that names him.
I bet. Baby. Do you want to come home with me? You'll fit in the car.
Oh yeah.
A fun thing that you guys have to offer is the silo slide. But can you kind of talk about where silos came from? Because they're an integral part in a lot of farms, or especially were, many, many years ago.
Silos serve a very important role in the history of agriculture, and part of that still serves an important role today. But on a lot of farms, especially older iconic farms, you'll see this thing behind us, a red clay brick silo. And silos were invented to hold silage, which is kind of, it's corn. Mm-hmm. It's the entire corn plant. A lot of times around here we call it corn confetti. It would be the equivalent of taking the entire corn plant and putting it in a blender, kind of chopping the whole thing up into what looks like confetti. And the way a silo works is we would put that confetti or silage into the silo, and it would then ferment, which is kind of like sealing it, so you can utilize it throughout the whole season. So you'll have feed in the wintertime and then all the way through the summer. So it's a way to preserve and hold your feed throughout the whole year. So silos, while very important back in the day, back in the 20s, when something like this guy would have been built, they don't serve as much of a purpose anymore because we've replaced that technology with something a lot easier to use. So since this was setting here when I bought the farm, I thought it'd be really fun to turn it into something useful and possibly educational, so we could talk about it a little bit. So inside the silo, you'll find a set of staircases, a staircase that goes up 20 foot to a balcony that hooks onto our slide that comes down our slide. Our slide's 46 foot long and a whole lot of fun. You gonna go down it?
Oh, of course I am.
All right.
Today we learned about agritourism and all the different aspects that agritourism has to offer. We learned about pumpkin patches and the history of farm implements. And we even learned a little bit about goats. What was your favorite part of today, Matt?
And we had a little bit of fun on top of all that.
Oh, we had a lot of fun today.
I really enjoyed you watching y'all go down the slides. I thought that was pretty fun.
That was my favorite part, and the goat.
And the goat, of course the goat. Everybody likes goats.
Goat, right.
That's right.
Thanks for having us at Red Barn Ranch, Matt, and we hope to see you all again.
Thank you.